Hello, this is Deborah Anderson, the Black Woman Animator, coming back to you with another video. And in this video, I have Lenord Robinson. Welcome. Can you give a little intro about yourself?
Well, sure, yes. I am an animator been in the animation industry now for, wow, 43 years. I came out here to Los Angeles in 1977. I was an illustration major at Georgia State University. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. And I wanted to get into the animation business, but I didn't know how. And I met an animation producer back when I was in school and showed him my work. And as it turns out, he liked it well enough to allow me to come and work for him. And so that was how I ended up coming out here to Los Angeles. And I've been out here ever since. I've worked as an animation artist at Disney and DreamWorks, Paramount, Warner Brothers. I was director of Warner Brothers for 6 years. I've created shows. I've had my own studio. It's been a great business for me. I've been very, very blessed and fortunate to be one of the few Black people in the animation business.
Yep. And the purpose of this channel is, to highlight the few and show you that there's more than we realize. It's not 10. It's about I like a lot more, but yeah. So you're from Atlanta. How was it growing up?
Oh my goodness, it was great. Atlanta is a very humid city, beautiful city, very green, and of course my family and everything was back there. I loved it. I loved the environment, people. Very different from here in Los Angeles. Yeah, it was just a good environment. A strong family, unit, and I think all of that really helped me a lot as an artist, because I had a lot of support from my family. So I just, I felt like it was a good base. So living there was wonderful. It's a good place to grow up.
Yeah, I just moved to LA from New Orleans, so I know about the humidity. I remember a year after I moved to New Orleans, one of my friends was in town, and I went to school in upstate New York, and so he just came down and was like, "Whoa, it's so hot!" And I remember walking out the door that day like, "Oh, it's a little cool today," because I had got used to the humidity, so it was like, "Oh, this is nice."
Yeah.
But like coming from Rochester, he was like, "Oh my gosh." And then another thing, I remember when I was in college, I went down to Atlanta, and I remember being in Rochester. If you like saw a luxury vehicle, it was like most likely a white person. But when I went to Atlanta, I'm like, there's a Black person in that car. So I like the idea of it being the Black Mecca, and it was one of the choices to move after college, but I ended up moving to New Orleans. So.
New Orleans must have been really beautiful. I've always wanted to go. I've never had an opportunity yet, but I hope to go at some point.
Well, let me know if you do. I got some restaurants you can hit up.
Oh yeah, that's two things I want. I want in New Orleans. I want some food and I want jazz. Those two things.
Yes. And I'll let you know. I'll remind you to go to Frenchman Street, not Bourbon Street, to get you the jazz. So, what was your relationship with art and animation growing up?
Well, I started out as I went toward being an illustrator because it seemed like to me that was the only field that I could be a commercial artist and actually make a living. I wanted to be an animator, but there wasn't an animation industry to speak of. So I figured, well, the next best thing would be maybe to be a children's book illustrator, that type of thing. So that was what I trained to be, was an illustrator. But on the side, I was doing my own little animation stuff because I really liked that. And I just dreamed of some days like, well, maybe someday I'll be able to go to Disney and visit Disney Studios or something. I didn't know how that was going. So it was a godsend that it happened the way it did.
Yeah. So in that your parents and all of your siblings are artistic in some way, is it safe to say that you were supported in your artistic abilities?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I'm the oldest of 5 kids. So I was told that, and I don't know which side of I think it's on my dad's side, that there was an artist somewhere in our family. And so
Mm-hmm.
then I was like the next one. And
Mm-hmm.
all my siblings all have artistic ability as well. So, but yeah, my parents were very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were, they were concerned, as all parents are. They were concerned that, like, okay, fine, you're an artist, you can draw and all that,
Mm-hmm.
but you get a real job, right? So, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
maybe you should be a teacher, or
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't discourage me. It was like they kind of said, well, okay, but what's your fallback position? So I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
they were supportive, but they were not 100% like sold on the idea until I got a job. Once I started doing well, they were like, oh well, maybe he's going to be all right after all, I guess.
Yeah, understandable. So, Donald Towns mentioned that you all worked at Six Flags Over Georgia together. What was your experience working there, and what did you do?
Oh my goodness, Donald. Oh yeah, Donald and I. Oh golly, I was talking about him today to my wife. Yeah, Donald's an
Mm-hmm.
old. Yeah, we were portrait artists. Yeah, golly, that was. Yeah, we did portraits. So you know how they
Mm-hmm.
in the parks they'll do the caricature drawings. The
Mm-hmm.
quick sketches. Well, we did color portraits of people. So
Oh,
they'd sit
nice.
and it would take us about 10 or 15 minutes, and we would do a nice pastel drawing, and we would sell that to the customers. And it became such a big deal that they actually opened an entire kiosk and had, I think they were like, at one point, I think they were like maybe 15 of us
Mm-hmm.
artists drawing, And that was where I met Donald. Donald was there, and there were a couple of other people who we all worked together. That was fun. So we only
Yeah.
worked during the summertime though. I think it was so it was a summer job primarily.
Nice summer job. Uh, and so you really like roller coasters. So what do you like about them, and what's your favorite kind of roller coaster?
Six Flags had the Scream Machine. Scream Machine.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it now like it was yesterday. Yeah, we were supposedly at the time, and let's see, that would have been, let me think now, I don't know what year that would have been. I guess 73, 74, I'm not sure. But
Mm-hmm.
supposedly we had the longest, highest at that time
Mm-hmm.
roller coaster. So we were boasting that we've got the big one, and so whatever. And so, and I fell in love with roller coasters. I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
the Scream Machine, well, the Scream Machine wasn't the first roller coaster I was on. They had this thing called uh, the Dahlonega Mine Train. It was a cool little roller coaster. It was a little small, but it was really fast. And then
Mm-hmm.
we got the Scream Machines, like, oh, that was a big deal. So I was really into that, man. So I love that. But like then after that, it was like I started looking for like, okay, where's the next one? And when
Yeah.
I came out here, they got Magic Mountain, and I was like, oh. And I went to Magic Mountain. I was like, oh man, and they have all these roller coasters. So
Yeah.
I guess, let's see, let me think. My favorite roller coaster was Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider,
Mm.
Ghost Rider is I think it's in Knott's Berry Farm, and
Okay.
yes, an old style roller coaster, one of those old wooden ones, and it
Oh
shakes,
yeah.
and it
Oh
makes you
my.
think you're gonna die, and it's to throw you off. I love things like that look dangerous. Great,
Yeah. Yeah. Growing up in the Midwest, Cedar Point was our place, and I really love roller coasters, but you can't tell from you riding them because like you go up and you're like, and some of the roller coasters go back click 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 click, and so I'm going up like, I made a bad decision. And then you go over that first hill and it's like, and then but I don't know, I don't know why, but I enjoy it. And I remember when I was younger, and like a string bean, I'll always be afraid that I was gonna fly out of the seat because I'm like, so I could never like put my hands up. And even if I do, like even at this age, if I do put my hands up, I'm like, I'm never like this because my stomach like jumps. And
Oh,
so when I was younger, I'll be like holding on, like, yay, I'm having fun.
oh yeah, no, I know what you mean. No, I'm see me. I'm big. I just hold hands like, yeah, let's do it. I'm so into it. Of course, I'm a little heavier now, but when I first started riding them, I was pretty thin.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about that whole idea that you're gonna fly up. I don't know. I don't know why that's exciting to me, but it is. You know, we have like at Magic Mountain, they have with that Goliath, I think they call it, which is another great coaster. And that one, boy, what a hill you're going down. And man, you talk about you get some major air, but then when you're in the bottom of it, it's got these G forces that hit you just before you get out of it. Just kind of flash in your seat. Man, I don't know, that thing is awesome. And then the other one is the Superman. That thing is crazy. I remember first time I saw it, I got into the little area there where the car is, and I remember kind of turning my head, and then I turned back and the car was gone. I mean, it was like literally shot out of there. I said, how fast is it? And they said, oh, it goes from 0 to 100 miles an hour in like 6 seconds. And I was like, what? That was the first time I thought, maybe this was not a good idea. You know, and you get in the thing. I don't know if you've ridden it before, but boy, the G forces on that. Oh my goodness. So, but I love all those things. Those are fun.
Yeah, I can't remember. There was one like I enjoyed. I feel like there was a newer one because I don't know when the last time I've been to Cedar Point, but I like the ones that are like just an enjoyable ride. I'm like, okay, this is nice. Got the little loops. This is fun. And then the Top Thrill Dragster. I remember when I went on that when I was in high school, and that was like the new one at the time, and it was like all it did was go up and down, but it was like the fastest roller coaster at the time. And so when it first came out, the line was like 3 hours long, but the ride was maybe 10 seconds. But luckily I went with my robotics team instead of like a school trip. It was my robotics team, and we like all the schools started going home, so I got to ride it like 2 or 3 times in a row after all the like kids. Well, I was a kid, but like all of the schools went home, so that was cool.
Yeah, those things are great though. I do. I don't know why I like them so much, but I do. And I haven't been
Me neither.
And I haven't been on one in a while. But if somebody said right now, let's go, I okay, let's go. You know, I would be right in there. Totally.
Yeah. So now I'm going to list some highlights of projects that you worked on, and the reason sometimes I list a lot because I feel like people out there need to know that some of our favorite TV shows and movies that Black people worked on them, because sometimes we don't know. So I'm just going to do a few. Okay. So you did Lord of the Rings with Ralph Bakshi.
That's right.
The Fox and the Hound, Muppet Babies, The Black Cauldron, She-Ra, Princess of Power, Tiny Toons Adventures, Rover Dangerfield, which I mentioned that because like it seems like every Black person like worked on that.
a lot did, yeah.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast, Animaniacs, Sea Bear and Jamal, Wayne Head, Our Friend Martin, The Proud Family, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Boondocks, Class of 3000, and The Cleveland Show, which we might have worked on some of the same episodes because in 2010 I was working at Digital Emation in South Korea, and I was because I'm actually a 3D modeler, but towards the end I wasn't keeping up with putting on my IMDb, so I'm not sure if we worked on some of the same episodes, but I'm guessing we did since it says 2010, so maybe.
Let's see. Well, actually, I worked on, I think it was the first season of Cleveland, and that would have been, let's see. Well, close, because I was there. I think I was there up until 2009. So I might have just missed the stuff. Well, I don't know. I mean, because we were doing storyboards, we were doing all the pre-production, and then, it was being sent to the station. So yeah, maybe we did work on the same episodes, quite possibly. That could be.
Maybe, just maybe. So, let's see. So in working on stuff like Wayne Head, Sea Bear and Jamal, Our Friend Martin, The Proud Family, Boondocks, Class of 3000, like how did it feel to work on shows featuring people that look like you?
Well, that was nice. It was good. I really enjoy it. See, the thing is that, a lot of times what would happen is studios will hire Black artists, particularly on a show where they know they're going to have people of color, because they figure, well, obviously a Black person is going to understand, the behavior of what a Black person in the show would be, which
Mm-hmm.
is, and sometimes in some cases we were given, you had the ability to influence the show,
Mm-hmm.
as I did with like Proud Family and Wayne Hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I think to some degree there's a kind of deference they give us because it's a show with people of color. So,
Yeah.
to some degree, it was almost like you're hired because you're Black,
Yeah.
and because obviously you're going to have an affinity for what you're doing. So I always sense that, and then you would always end up being, even so, you're still in the minority, in a
Yeah.
studio.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there's say 5 or 6 or 10 Black people in it, there's probably still like 30 or 40 white people, so
Yeah.
you're still kind of lightly mixed in there, but there
Mm-hmm.
is a appreciation, which I think is nice, and so that makes it kind of fun to work on. So yeah.
Yeah. So you slightly mentioned it in your intro, but can you go into the full story of how you moved out to LA?
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, so what happened was, as I mentioned, I was an illustration major. I was an illustration major at Georgia State University. And what happened was Ralph Bakshi had just done a film called Wizards,
Mm-hmm.
and he was taking it around and doing I guess you call it a film junket, where he would go and promote his own film and to
Mm-hmm.
get more people to watch it. And a friend of mine mentioned that he was in town in Atlanta, or going to be in town, showing this
Mm-hmm.
film. And I thought, wow, a film producer, an animation film producer, because I knew who Ralph Bakshi was. I know he had done Fritz the Cat, which was the
Mm-hmm.
first adult animated feature film. And he'd done Heavy Traffic, and But anyway, he was going to be in town, and I guess he was. I didn't know he was doing Lord of the Rings, but
Mm-hmm.
I was going to be in town. So anyway, I thought, great, this, maybe I can get to meet this guy. So I found out where they were going to have this screening. I got my portfolio, and I thought, well, maybe what I could do is, if I can get his attention, maybe I can have him look at my portfolio and tell me what I need to do. Because I was letting
Mm-hmm.
him know I want to be in animation. I don't know anything about how I would do that.
Right.
Maybe get some pointers. And that's all I was looking for, was just some, creative, some critique, some
Mm-hmm.
creative help and some tips. And so I went and saw the film he'd done, and then he had a Q&A afterwards, and I got his attention, and I asked him if he would look at my work. And so after the Q&A, he took some time to look at my work, and he just hired me on the spot. He just
Mm-hmm.
literally, I was like, wow. I didn't expect that, because all I
Mm-hmm.
was looking, I just wanted somebody to tell me something, help me out. And basically, he just said, well, if you come out to Los Angeles, you got a job, you know.
Nice.
And so he actually reimbursed me for my plane ticket and everything. So I came out here. I didn't have any. The closest family I had was an uncle that lived in San Francisco. So he
Mm-hmm.
met me here, and I got set up in a hotel for a bit, and then I got an apartment in
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood. So my first place that I stayed was in Hollywood. And Ralph's studio was on Cahuenga and Sunset, which is kind of in the center of Hollywood. So
Mm-hmm.
this is 1977, and so yeah, so I went there, and sure enough, he was good for his word and hired me, and made me an animator, and the rest is history. I had the intention. This is really interesting, because I was still in school. I was
Yeah.
literally I think I was about a semester away from graduation.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Ralph, and I was literally thinking, oh, I'm just going to go out for a little bit and I'll come back and finish school, right? And Ralph he looked at me and sort of talked me out of like, why would I want to go back when, this is what I want to do. And I realized he was right. It was like, yeah, wait a minute, he is right. I mean, this is what I want to do. And so I stayed, and here I am, 43 years later, it was my break, it was, I prayed about it, asked God to give me a good gig somewhere, and hoping that someday I'd work in animation. He opened the door for this to happen, and there we go. Yes.
So what were some of the first shots you got to work on?
Well, let's see. He started me out, let's see. Well, he didn't, he was doing Lord of the Rings, which was great because I was familiar with the books. But he started me out on some other, it was Hey Good Looking. He had this film called Hey Good Looking. And so I guess he, typical Ralph, he had this scene of this black, was it a white guy and walking down an alley with a bunch of black guys or something like that, which he thought I could relate to. And he was kind of right, So anyway, he kind of gave me some stuff to do before he put me on Lord of the Rings. I think I just did one scene, and of this guy who was going down this alleyway, and there was all these black guys standing around and giving him a hard time. So I had to animate that. I don't know how well. Now when I look back on it, I don't remember how well I did. In fact, I don't even know if I actually even finished the thing. I might have. I mean, it was really exciting to just start doing this. But I think on Lord of the Rings, I'm trying to remember, like, Lord of the Rings. Let's see, I think I got a scene. I'm trying to remember what it was now. I think it was a scene of Gandalf, the wizard, doing something. I can't remember what it was now. Boy, it was such a long time ago. Yeah.
It's okay. Sometimes I can't remember what I did last week. So.
Yeah, this was 40-some years ago. So.
Yeah, so no judgment here.
Evidently, whatever I did was okay because I stayed.
Yeah.
Throw me out, so I guess I must have done okay. Yeah, I ended up doing. I worked on a lot of characters. I think the main character that I got to work on was Aragorn, which is like one of the heroic characters in the story, which was great, and I was able to really identify with that character. But I got to draw a lot of different characters on that movie. I mean, I think I pretty much worked on almost every character at some point. But I know Aragorn was like one of the main ones. I did a lot of Hobbit stuff. I remember they had this whole Balrog sequence. It was this dragon character, whatever. And I worked on some of that. Because I saw the production when it was purely animation. Then it shifted over to rotoscope. Because, as you know, the movie was completely rotoscope. But in the beginning, it was actually going to be hand animated. And they had done an entire sequence that was all hand animation. And that was when I started on it. But what happened was that Ralph was looking for a distributor, and so he wanted to impress them. So we had this sequence that he had shot of these of the ring wraiths, which are the bad guys that come after Frodo. And so he decided, well, he wanted it to look really realistic, so he got actors, filmed them, and then we rotoscoped that entire sequence. And it turned out so beautiful. So I worked on some of it. Dale Bear worked on some of it. There's a bunch of us on it. The folks at United Artists loved it. So Ralph decided, well, gee, it looks great. Maybe we should just do the whole picture like that. So, he decided to shoot the entire movie. And then we rotoscoped the entire movie. But it was a great experience. I definitely, Ralph gave me my big break, and I took advantage of it. I really took advantage of it.
So can you tell the story about the Black people meetup in the 90s?
Oh, you mean the thing that we did at Angelina's?
Yeah, I recently posted the pictures on social media.
Oh, you were the one that did the thing on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how many when I posted those pictures, I didn't realize how many people had never seen them. Like Marlon West was like, "Wow, this is the first time I've seen it since that day." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was Paulette Oates. Paulette
Mhm.
Oates, who was when I was directing at Warner Brothers when that was done.
Mhm.
And Paulette was our supply manager at Warner's. She supplied all the artists.
Mhm.
And it came up in a conversation. How many black people are there in this business? we were all like joking, like, I wonder how many black people. I don't know. In our heads, we think, it's probably like 10 of us, or something like that. Nobody knew because we'd never all gotten together at one time.
Yeah.
So, and I don't remember whose idea it was. I think it might have been Paulette. I don't know. So anyway,
Mhm.
we're just, having fun about it. So, well, hey, why don't we, let's have a get together,
Mhm.
And so it was decided that, well, let's have a get together at Angelina's. Angelina's is like the soul food place at the
Mhm.
time in
Mhm.
Los Angeles. One of the places. There was like two, but Angelina's was a big deal. And it was like right up the street from where we were working.
Mhm.
So we put out calls. I think I don't remember who did it. I think it was a bunch of people that did it,
Mhm.
and put out all the invitations. Like anybody, we want to find out how many black people with us. We're going to do this, and I think I don't even remember how. I think we also came up with the idea of like, I don't know, maybe they were going to pay for it. The studio was going to pay. I don't know how it worked. Anyway,
Yeah.
everybody showed up, and it was like, whoa! I mean, we filled up the place. And at the time, I think in the local, I think there were, I want to say there was maybe 4,000 people, I think, in the local, or 5,000, something like that.
Mhm.
And so I believe, I could be wrong, but I think there was like about 35 of us, maybe somewhere between
Mhm.
5 and 40 that showed up. And I don't know if it was everybody, but it was pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was like, oh, we kind of looking around like, I mean, we were all surprised that there was that many of us. We didn't, because we never, And I remember somebody made the joke, like, said, well, I hope they don't bomb this place and get us all at one. We all close by, take us all out at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but everybody was there. I mean, most of the folks that you probably have talked to were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them were there. I mean, I look at the pictures that you put up. I remember I looked at myself like, oh my goodness, I was so thin back then. I must have been like 140 pounds soaking wet. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad I could, because I did the interview with Leo Sullivan, and he talked about how he had some of the pictures. I was like, oh well, if you can find them, send them to me. And then Dan Haskett hit me up and told me that Swinton Scott had the pictures, and then Swinton gave them to me, and so I posted them.
Right, yeah, golly, yeah, because there's so many people there. I mean, there's a lot of folks that are sadly not around anymore. Ray Johnson
Mhm.
is there; he's gone. Oh golly, can't think. There's another fellow who died. I can't remember what his name was, but real
I
brief.
think also Betty or something.
Oh yeah, Betty Vaughn. She
Mhm.
passed away too. Yeah, she was there. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people there.
Mhm.
Bruce Smith was there. Yeah, I mean, we were, the gang was all here. Lou Scarborough, yep, he passed away too. A lot of us are gone. Not
Yeah.
everybody, but there's a lot of folks. A lot of folks. Bob Tyler's still around. Most of us are still around, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's good.
Um. Yeah.
Good time.
So what was the hard thing about directing for you at first, and what do people have to like learn or realize to get the hang of it?
Wow. Well, directing was definitely. I had to. I worked hard at understanding what the heck I was supposed to do. I hit the ground running, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Mhm.
Art Vitello, who was the producer of the show, the first show that I directed, which directed on, which was Tasmania.
Okay.
Uh, he gave me my shot at directing. And it was just the fact that he had confidence in me because I was an animator. I think he felt that I knew enough to do it, and I didn't want to disappoint him. But I had help. He helped to kind of get the ropes. The directing is it's tricky business. It's tricky business because when you're an artist and you're so used to being hands-on, you want to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
To kind of learn that the real key to being a good director is delegation, being able to let somebody else do the work and you just guide the ship. Your job is you're the captain, You have all these folks helping you, do your job. And that, I think that was maybe the hardest thing for me. I was so accustomed to I just, I can do that. Or, my production manager was always saying, now, Lenord, we got somebody to do that. No. And then, I could draw, I could do this. No, because I'm fast too. I'm a pretty fast artist. So I figured, I can do that, whatever.
Yeah.
But I had to learn how to delegate. And that was, for me, that was really hard. But it took a little while. Picking the right crew, I think that's the hard thing. And also too, I think maybe the really hard thing is knowing, when you know you don't have the exact people that you want, trying to get, and then it becomes like, oh boy, and realizing that you're making decisions about these people's careers,
Right.
which, it's a terrible responsibility. I don't want that responsibility. I'm the kind of person that I have a lot of faith in people. I'm a people person. I care about people. So I might keep a person that might not be exactly what I need them to be. If I see potential, then I will stick with them. And I had a few folks like that on my crew who I was told, in fact, maybe I should get rid of this person. Maybe I should get rid of that person. I didn't do it. I said, no, you know what? I think this person's going to work out. And it turns out they did. They turned out, not only did they work out and turned out to be great, but they went on to do really well because I had faith that they would.
Yeah.
I took a big chance, but I think it was the right chance to take. It's hard. It would be hard to fire somebody. That's very hard for me, especially if I'd hired the person,
Yeah.
But what I guess I learned was that being a people person or understanding how to work with people is definitely a skill that you have to work on constantly.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're dealing with people. You have all kinds of people, and it's a tricky business. It's not easy. I wouldn't say it's easy. So if you're a good director, I'm not even sure what a good director is. I guess a good director is a combination of a people person, but also a good captain of the ship, knowing when to make a big decision that's going to either put you ahead or behind. You can't let some small thing throw off the ship. The ship is still the overall responsibility of the project is paramount, and no one person should be too important that they throw that off.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult one. That's a hard thing to do.
So you've been a professor and taught at Otis College Art and Design. What do you think about training programs, which were the norm some decades ago, versus relying on people's training from college, which is kind of the norm today?
There is a slight drop off between what you learn in school and what you learn on the job. I think they're very things. I've been teaching for, I think about 30 years now almost. And what I see today is I see that you have a lot of folks teaching. Teaching has kind of become a fun thing. Everybody's doing it, it's a lot.
Everybody's doing it.
Everybody's good, yeah. But there is a slight disparity, I think, between what you learn in school and what you actually can use in a job. Studios have recruitment departments, which I think in some ways are kind of counterproductive to what a student learns in school.
Mm-hmm.
Studios, I personally think they're, well, my own personal feelings, I think they're a tremendous waste of time having recruitment departments, because it's a tremendous expenditure and it's overhead that I feel is wasted. If you've got people who have developed websites and portfolios, what you need is the director or somebody at the top of the food chain to say, yeah, I like this, I like that. Pick a few people, interview them, and give them jobs. That's what we did when I was a director. That's how we did it. Today, you go through this entire recruitment process, which I just think is I think it's a very expensive thing for a studio to have a recruitment. I think it's a very unnecessary thing.
Yeah.
They're testing people. They're just spinning people's wheels. They're insulting people who are talented already by testing them. It's like, well, why can't you just look at what they've got and hire them? You know, because they're gonna go through a period of ramping up and learning what you're doing anyway. So the basics that we try to teach in school are, you know, basic draftsmanship, anatomy, design, basic things about drawing, perspective, all that sort of stuff. When you get in the studio, you're going to learn. Every studio has their own peculiarities as to how they work. So it's really the studio's responsibility to put people in the position, and they ramp up. You know, I think in school we can teach the students some basic things that they will run into in a job, and then they should be able to implement those things. You know, like for instance, I've taught storyboarding, so I teach basics of storytelling, visual storytelling, like that. You get in a job, let's say you went to work for DreamWorks. Well, DreamWorks may have a very specific way of doing what they do. Now, we might have to teach the students how to use a certain kind of software. Like if DreamWorks likes to use Photoshop, so we have to teach them how to use Photoshop to do storyboards. Or if they're using Toon Boom Storyboard Pro, we have to teach them that or whatever. So those are the kind of things you can learn in school. And then when you get in the job, you know, the job, they're going to ask you, oh, well, we use this program, we use that program. So I mean, I think that's all that's necessary. But yeah, there is a slight gap between, I think, what you learn in school and what you get on the job. I think there's not enough of a marriage of those things. Some of that I think the schools have to develop. Where you have you develop a curriculum, you bring teachers in who are all like myself, who are professionals in the business to set up the departments, and then make a connection between the school and the studios. So I mean, I was one school I taught at years ago, was Associates in Art, and I made a connection between the school and Disney and whatever, and I would have people come over from Disney and look at our student work, so they would know, oh, okay, you have this, and we would recommend people, and then they get interviews. Because I think that way it's easier for the student, instead of them having to knock on a door and maybe somebody will talk and maybe not. The teacher can say, hey, I have this student, I have that student, I think they're quite good. Here's some of their work. You kind of run a little interference for the student, and that gives them a leg up, and then they can go get an interview. And then you teach them how to be in an interview. I think that's where school can work. And I don't say that I see that happening. It's something that needs to happen. It would make things a lot easier, I think, for students.
I think something I've experienced in job searching when I moved to Los Angeles is that there's something that the recruitment team sees, and then they push me on, but then that's once I get to the people who are actually doing the work, they're like, I don't know if she fits. And so there's that, where there's probably that disconnect of the recruitment people might not have the experience in the industry to know what to look for. But then also, to speak earlier about, the people you gave a chance, I feel like sometimes the animation industry lacks imagination in hiring people, because it's like they have to be perfect.
Yeah, well, there you go. And see, that goes to show that the people who are making those decisions in these jobs are not really doing a good work. It's not the way to do it. If you got to see somebody that's going to do the exact thing that you're looking for, you're already wrong. That's wrong. Okay. If I had done that, I would not have hired some of the very best people that I ever had, some of the best story people, some of the best artists. I just looked at what they had in their portfolio. I was like, oh, this person's good. Boom. They didn't need to. I didn't test anybody. Test, schmest. Who needs a test?
Yeah, let's go into that. That's one of my questions. What are your thoughts on tests? You can expound on that.
I hate them. I think the test, it says something about the studio that's giving it. Number one, it says they don't know what the heck they're doing because they don't have any idea of what talent is. Okay. They're wasting people's time. I've seen people, I have a lot of colleagues, people like myself who've been in the business for 30, 40 years, and they have to test, which I think is an insult. The very first
I've heard
time
about that.
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous insult. It's like, oh, okay, so I gotta dance by your music, and then at the end of the day, you don't hire me, and what am I supposed to think about that?
I've even heard of a guy who did freelance for a studio, did their work, and they reached out to him to come back, and then had him do a test.
See, that's idiotic. That is absolutely idiotic. No, I am. In fact, I am so against these tests. I was just talking to a colleague of mine, another guy who's just another. He's a brilliant concept artist, amazing. And he had the test, and this guy was like a concept designer for DreamWorks. Anyways, and I said, you know what? We should have a little get together at the union because they have a clause in our contract that got put there. I think it got voted on, and to the effect that okay, we'll do the test, whatever. We had to make some because when they first started doing these tests, they were misusing the privilege. I mean, they were testing people, and then they were using their work and not paying them.
Yeah.
So we hammered them on that, and then they came up with a clause saying, okay, test whatever. We had a fancy name for it. Anyways, I was saying, this is time we need to adjust this thing. I think because it's a tremendous misuse of the privilege. So I think, okay, if they're going to test us, then they should pay us. Pay for the test. You're wasting our time. You're asking people. I said, why are we auditioning? We're not, this is not the acting business. And I said, an actor can go in and in 15, 20 minutes, he's in and out and he's done.
Right.
You test somebody, that's hours of their time. Hours. So why don't you pay them? Because see, I just think they're misusing the privilege. And I'll bet you that if we change it and say, okay, you guys pay us our rate, pay us our hourly rate, and we'll do the test. Then that way we have an incentive. So then if they don't hire you, you got compensated for it, Now that'll jerk the slack out of these jerks because I think that they're screwing around with us, and it's like we need to stop. We need to put a stop to it because it's always been unnecessary. It's an insult to people who have seniority, who've been in the business. And I'm sorry, but you look at these shows, and I'm sorry, but these shows are not that. When I was coming up, the animation stuff we were doing, the quality was up there.
Yeah.
Shows today, I'm sorry, I won't name names, but I personally think a lot of this stuff that we're seeing today is not it doesn't look good. And so why should we be testing for that? I mean, if it's something, if it's DuckTales or if it's Animaniacs or if it's something where it's actually drawn well and requires talent, okay, maybe. I still don't think you should test for any of that. Sorry, some of these cartoons, and like I said, I'm not going to name names. I don't want to, I'm not trying to, but you know what I mean. I mean, you look at this stuff, and I'm sorry, but why would I test for that? And I mean, and there's some shows I don't want to work on, and I won't name about that either because it's just like, if I'm going to work on something, I want it to be appealing. I want to enjoy it. And a lot of these things today, in fact, so much so, and this is another conversation that I had with a colleague. I said, I think I'm going to design a show of my own. Something that I like, just to get something out there, because I'm just tired of seeing all this ugly stuff. Okay. That's what I think it's ugly. I don't like it, but that's just me. Maybe shows. I guess they're doing well. You know what the trick is with shows today? They're very badly designed, but they're well written. That's the thing. So you're right. Your writing is good, but the art is So that's how they. And I don't know whether it's because the people who artistically create the show can't draw. I don't know what it is. Or maybe they think it's cute to draw badly. I don't know what's going on.
I've heard about that in the adult themed, where the characters have to be ugly for some reason. I've heard that sentiment.
Yeah.
Like, or complaint. People are like, why do they always have to be ugly?
Well, okay. I mean, okay. I'll name a show or two. Bojack Horseman, which I think is a well-written show. Bojack Horseman is funny. And I wouldn't say it's really bad looking, but it's kind of quirky.
Yeah.
But it's the writing's good. So I mean, I worked on the very first season of The Simpsons. I'm not crazy about the design for The Simpsons either, but I will say this: it wasn't easy to draw. It's a stylistic show. Cleveland is a nice show. I enjoyed working on that show. I thought the drawing was decent on that. The Family Guy, that stuff, American. To me, that's not an ugly show. I mean, it's but then so you go to the other end of the spectrum of something like South Park, which is really funny. I mean, I laugh my ass off on South Park, and it's I mean, there's nothing to it really, design wise, but it's fun to watch as well. So I don't know. I think it's the formula. It's like the old saying about Hollywood is Hollywood will just continue to chase its own tail. So it's like it's like well, that works. Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they'll just follow whatever's popular. So right now the ugly shows are popular. Because they're making money. So but then you watch, somebody will come out with a nice looking show and it'll make money. They'll copy that. One of the easier ones, what was that, Steven Universe? That looks pretty good. That's got a nice design to it. And anything that Gendy Tartakovsky does is gorgeous. That stuff is it's a new show called Primal. Awesome. That guy can do no wrong, in my opinion. So, but I don't know. I just the testing thing is, I think, is sadly it's something that needs to go away. It was never a good idea. It was never needed.
Yeah.
I think the studios are spending way more money on their recruitment departments to give people jobs they don't need. Disney Studios was the first one to do this, and I remember they had a department with 30 people in it in the recruitment department. And I thought, what are these people doing all day? Are they surfing Facebook or something? What the heck are they doing? They collecting portfolios, and then you find out that people apply and they don't even get a reply back from people. So if you get a department that big, you think, well, wouldn't they be sending letters? I mean, at least all those people would have a job, right? They'd be typing letters or corresponding. And I hear people say they don't get any kind of response. So I'm like, well, what are they doing? I don't get what all the testing's about.
So have you done any mentoring of artists?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. I still do. Yeah, continuously. I do my own online classes, so I do a lot of online classes throughout the week. I'm currently doing an online class for Laguna College. I do that on Fridays. But I have right now I have 3 students that I'm doing classes mentoring. 4. I'm sorry, I have 4 actually. So yeah, and I do that continuously. And I try to give them a good price too. I mean, my prices are very competitive. So because I'm a big believer of not raping the students.
Yeah.
I give them a rate. I even let them pay in an installment, so that way they don't have to come up with all the money, because they're trying to learn. And then I also give them point them at jobs. If I see a job, hey, I'll send them a thing, apply for this, apply for that. So, yeah, so I mean, somebody helped me, so I try to pass it on.
Nice. You said before that technological art tools are for the experienced and people who have learned the foundation. Why are the basics and foundational skills important for all artists?
Well, because it gives you a leg up. It gives you a confident platform to leap from.
Mm-hmm.
If an artist doesn't, if their drawing skills and their drawing habits are not very good or not well developed, the digital platform is a very deceptive and yet very wonderful platform.
Mm-hmm.
What I see is I see a lot of students using it as a kind of a crutch to prevent them from having to actually put the work and time in. There's things they can do to get over without having to be able to draw well. And I was introduced to the digital platform storyboarding wise back, let's see, that would have been 2006 I think it was like 2007 or 8 or something like that. That was when I first got involved. That's when I was working on Cleveland. That was the first time I did that. And they had Storyboard Pro, and I learned how to use Storyboard Pro. And once I got the hang of it, I realized, wow, this is made for us. It's made for the people who already know how to draw, because it's like, wow, you can do this. There's all these cool things you can do. So I think it's important to have those basics. Right now, for instance, I'm teaching a traditional animation class over at Laguna College, and the students, of course, naturally want to work digitally, and I've had to kind of reel them in and say, now, well, I know you want to do this, but this is the reason why, you want, because it just gives you a leg up, and it just makes you a more confident artist, so that when you go into the digital platform, you go in with a lot of muscle, and you have everything you need. Because most of the kids, this is how they're learning on the digital platform. They're not drawing on paper. They're not taking anatomy. They're not taking life drawing. And I don't know how many times I run into students who haven't had any life drawing classes, and I say, no, you need to take life drawing. You need to take some anatomy class. Well, do I really have? What is that? I said, no, this is what you have to do. You want to be a good artist, you're going to have to put in the time, and there's no shortcut to that. You're going to have to do what you got. I said, because look at it like this. I said, if you're cutting corners and you got 1,000 guys on your left doing the same thing you're doing, 1,000 guys on your right, and 1,000 guys. But I said, I can pick any of those guys. I said, but if a person walks in here and they've got solid drawing skills, they're solid draftsmanship, that person's going to leap out of the crowd. Guess who I'm going to hire? I'm going to hire that person, because I can see they've got the skill. I can see they've got proficiency. I can see they've spent time to learn the craft. That's the person I'm not going to hire somebody that's a Photoshop, jockey that can cheat his way through. I'm not going to hire that guy. There's a jillion of them. I'm not going to hire. I'm not going to hire any of them. I'm only going to hire the guy or the gal that's got the skill. If they got the skill, you're going to see it. It'll show up in your portfolio. That is not something you can fake. You can't fake that. You either have that skill or you don't.
Especially to the people who know.
Yeah. And see, I recognize it in a minute. I see students all the time. I can tell in a minute, like, skills. I see it, and those are the people I hire. Yeah, every time.
So you've been nominated for a couple of awards, and you have a Peabody Award. How does it feel to be recognized for your work?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's a beautiful feeling. I'm humbled. When you get an award, you don't expect it. I realize that it's like, now I look back and I realize that it wasn't why I was doing it.
Right.
But when you get it, it's like, wow, it's really nice, And it does make you realize that there's some apex or plateau or something that once you hit that there's a level of respect and a level of recognition. People see that you've risen to a certain level and they recognize you for it. And it's a very nice thing. It's nice. I mean, I think To be honest with you, you know who I'm really the most, I feel the most good, respectful feeling from is kids. The kids, and I tell them what I worked on, they get all excited.
Yeah.
They're the ones that actually, because that's who I really do it for. I did it for them.
Right.
When I was working on Animaniacs, I tell them how kids go crazy. Animaniacs, you're working at,
I go crazy. I love Animaniacs.
That to me, I mean, the word is great and it's nice and it hangs on my wall, all that wonderful stuff. But it's the kids. When the kids are the ones, they get excited about the cartoons you do, and and they'll and I love it when I'll do a little drawing for them of something I've worked on. Oh, they just think that's the most wonderful thing in the world, and I think, yeah, this is why I did this. This is this is why I got into this business, is because I wanted to entertain people. I wanted to communicate how I felt, and I want them to appreciate it. So when they do, I feel like I've done my job.
What are like some personal art projects that you've had or are working on?
Well, the business keeps me so busy that I haven't really, so that, and that's been, and that's the thing that's so frustrating too, because you want to do your own stuff. I have, let's see, well, I think, maybe more like 5 ideas for features that I wanted to do. When I just moved out here, I had 2. One that I had almost written a script for, and I had done a whole bunch of artwork for. I've done some little short films, just little fun things for myself. But I haven't really had the time, I got married, we had kids, it's work,
So to go along that train, what do you hope young Black animators do in the current landscape that you wish you would have done at their age with all this technology and platforms such as YouTube?
Well, I tell my students all the time, I said, you guys are so fortunate. I said, we didn't have anything like this when I was a kid. I mean, if you wanted to make your own film when I came into the business, you had to rent a camera, you had to set up, you had to shoot your animation, you had to draw your animation on paper, you had to Xerox it or ink it, then you had to paint it, then you had to hire a camera service to shoot it, and then it went on forever. I mean, just a 2-3 minute film cost you, a ton of money, so I mean, now kids, they get these little free programs or whatever, they animate something, put it in color, it's all done, So I tell them, it's like, hey, you guys live in exciting times, and take advantage of it, I mean, go make something. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I mean, now that I got these all, because I have a lot of these programs, and I am doing little things. I mean, I have a YouTube channel. I'm throwing some animation out here and there, nothing of any great consequence, but I've had some ideas, and mostly my thing is that I get so structured about what I want to do, then I don't get it. It's like, oh, great, this is going to be, then I don't do anything, right? Now, I film myself. I do a lot of film things, and I have a little ministry that I do on my YouTube channel. Call it 3-minute ministry, where I talk about the Bible and stuff, because that's kind of a big thing it's a very big thing in my life. But I would love to do some little short things. But I tell my students, I said, go make stuff. I mean, you guys know how to draw. I mean, animate.
Yeah.
Go make something. And I tell them, just make. Don't get too ambitious. Just make do something short. Put it up on YouTube. Put it up on Vimeo or whatever, and just have fun. Because that's how you get started. I said, getting a job, that's good. Get a job, whatever. But you're gonna find, I think, you're gonna find a lot more satisfaction, I think, in making your own stuff. Yeah. And even if you just make something and it's only 30 seconds or 10 seconds, just make something.
It's still yours.
Just make something. Because I think having that mentality of making your own stuff, I think that, I tell my students this all the time, just do your own stuff. Get a job, but do your own stuff. Don't wait to get a gig to do the animation. Do the animation now. Do everything you want to do now when you're not getting paid for it, but just do it anyway. And that's where you're going to find your site. And then a lot of times, if you got something, a good idea, and you put it up, you might be, you're publicizing yourself.
Yeah.
So realistically, I mean, studios now actually will look for talent through YouTube.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell them, just make your own stuff, because somebody I had one student, in fact, that's exactly what happened. She was, I think she said she was approached by Netflix or somebody that they saw some of her work, and I said, great, good for you, go for it. Yeah, I say, go do it that way. That's the way to go. What's the way to go?
Is there an origin story to the name Big Daddy of Love?
Golly, yeah, I guess there is. Yeah, when I've been working on this one for a while. I have a good friend, Mike Lipman, who lives in San Francisco. He lives in the Bay Area, and we worked together years ago. I was working at we were working at Filmation together, and I think I want to say the Big Daddy part came from him. I don't remember how it got started. I know he somewhere along the line. I know Mike started this with me. I don't remember. He did some drawings and maybe called me Big Daddy or something like that. And I wasn't the Big Daddy that I am now. The big guy. I was thin. I should have been called Thin Daddy. I don't know what. Somewhere along the line, it came from something. I don't remember what it was, and it just stuck. And then I adopted it. The Big Daddy. I added the of love. That came from me because I love people, and
Yeah.
So I call myself the Big Daddy of Love. And then I think somewhere along the line, I found out that there was a jazz group called the Big Daddy of Love or something like that.
Nice.
Anyway, I had a website for a long time. It's called Big Daddy Animation. Yeah, I just kind of went crazy with it. Yeah, just it started. Mike somehow got it started. At least I think he did. And then I ran with it, and people just started calling me Big Daddy. I was calling myself Big Daddy, and yeah, it just it sprung a leak and went crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I hope I weight now, though. It's like I just recent. In fact, I just recently changed my diet. I was in the hospital for like a week, and I had a stomach thing, and yeah, I'm okay now. But I had, my wife suggested that I change my diet, and after going through that, I said, yeah, you're right. And so that's what I've been doing. And
your body is talking to you.
It was a wake-up call. And I guess I've lost a little weight already, but I feel a lot better because I've changed my diet completely.
That's great.
Throughout all my alcohol, I was a big drinker, and got rid of all that. Got rid of all bad food, all my bad snacks. Got rid of all that.
Yeah.
Now I'm, a lot of vegetables. Kind of vegan diet almost. And I like it. I actually like it. So feeling much better.
Yay.
Oh yeah.
You really like anime, so what do you like about it?
Well, anime was, it's such a was, and I guess it's not a big part of my life now, but it was a huge part of my life. I got into it. Well, I mean, I kind of always sort of knew about it when I was a little kid. I used to watch Astro Boy. Astro Boy would come on Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings at 6:30, and I remember sneaking into the living room and turning on our set. We had one of those old black and white sets that had to warm up. You turn it on a minute for it to warm. And I had to turn it on real low because I didn't want my parents to hear. And what are you doing up at 6:30 or whatever? But I loved Astro Boy. I thought that was so cool. I didn't know it was anime back then. The term anime I didn't find out about till later. But where I really kind of got into it was I was at Disney Studios, and I made friends with this fella, Peter Chung, who is an extremely talented artist, just amazing talent. And he sort of introduced me to anime, and I realized I had seen it here and there and didn't know that that's what it was. And he turned me on to Miyazaki, the
Mm-hmm.
animation director who does these beautiful feature films. And I remember, I think the very first thing I saw was this movie called it was Lupin in Castle Cagliostro, and there's this whole story about this guy. It was great. It's a
Mm-hmm.
movie, animated movie, but it felt like a live action movie, but it was animated.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it because I thought, wow, I'd never seen animation do that before.
Yeah.
Because the way the Japanese animation, they have these, well, there's just tricky things they do with the camera and the way they set up their shots and the way they have their own kind of stylistic movement. And it was
Yeah.
just fresh to me. It was like, wow, what's this? So different. And so Peter kind of got me into that. I started collecting, and I was really like, what's this? And then I found out that it was this huge subculture because, like, Peter would go to, he would take a trip to Japan, and
Mm-hmm.
he'd come back and he'd have all these videotapes. This is videotapes back then.
Mm-hmm.
And he would take stuff off TV. And I guess in Japan, they had constant animation make up like 30% of their entertainment, which is completely different from here in America.
Yeah.
So he was, introducing me to all this animation. What's this, Then he says, oh, well, then he took me down little Tokyo, down in Los Angeles, downtown LA. And there was this they have these bookstores that had all these manga comics.
Mm-hmm.
Literally thousands. I was just like, oh my God, I mean, like, I'm a comic book guy, and I go to the comic store. But this was like something else. Like, what is this, So, I just went nuts, and then I found out there was more than one of these and I just went nuts. And I found out there was all this animation stuff, and what's this, what's that? I was just amazed. So I just wanted to see all of it, start buying everything, and for like a good 10, 15, maybe 20 years, I just stocked up on this stuff. I had it, because I think it was just because culturally it was so different from what we were doing here.
Yeah.
And also too, the way the Japanese looked at entertainment as far as animation went, completely different from the way we did it. It was like, we're trying to do this very full, beautiful movement, and which is great, and I love that. But here the Japanese were doing this very they were getting away with doing things on 5s and 6s, and jumping around. But somehow it was kind of fun and appealing, and I thought, well, this is different, but it was the stories and the subject matter was just completely different, So I fell in love with it. I was really into it, and I still like it. And I think I kind of peaked out on it though. It was like I was just spending like thousands of dollars on this stuff. Finally I just ran out of steam or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't collect it anymore, but I still have a lot of stuff. My kids have grown up on, a lot of mostly Miyazaki movies. I had My Neighbor Totoro, which is a charming little film, and the kids grew up watching Japanese with the Japanese versions.
Oh, yeah.
Songs and they didn't know what they were. I didn't know what they were saying. I didn't know. So I've always had a love for Japanese culture, and I would love to someday still go over there and see it. Yeah, it's just a very different way of looking at entertainment, and I think it was just because it was different that was what attracted me to it. Yeah.
You also like Korean spas. I lived in South Korea for 2 years and have never stepped foot in a jjimjilbang. Like, what do you like about them?
Wow, you really did your homework on me. Yeah, I love them. And you know what? And this kind of went hand in hand with the anime because I would go down to Little Tokyo. I would go to the manga stores or buy whatever, and then I would walk around Little Tokyo, and I would just like, what's just because I once again was interested. It was the entire Japanese culture. Well, the first spas I went to were Tokyo spas. They were, in fact, the first spa I ever went to was called Tokyo Spa, and it was right next to a restaurant, a sushi restaurant. So I was just in as a sushi, anything Japanese, right? And and it's like, oh gosh, how did I? Yeah, okay. Oh, here's a good story. You'll like this. I was I was working on Rover Dangerfield,
Mm-hmm.
and I come I was well, I'll get into that, but anyway, I was working on Rover Dangerfield, and I had finished this scene. It was very important that I get this right because it was going to be they were going to move us out here based on whether they like my work or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'd gotten the scene done, and it was right, and they loved it, and everything was great. But I was really stressed,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And one of the guys who was a good friend of mine, one of the directors, uh, he was getting his wife was massaging him, and I said, "Oh man, I sure could use something like that, you know." And so he
Mm-hmm.
told me about this place in Little Tokyo called Tokyo Spa,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Okay," you know. And yeah, I said, "Well, I don't want to go to some weird place now. I don't want to go somewhere and have some gals come out with leather bikinis and handcuffs. You know, that's not my thing. I want to go." I said, "I want to relax. You know?
Right.
Don't worry, it's legit. You know, okay, you
Mm-hmm.
know." So I went in there, and wow, I was amazed. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
apparently this was like just something that they do, and they had the jacuzzi and the sauna and all that. And I remember the little gal came out. She must have been like 4 foot something, and I thought, well, what's she gonna do? And she bit me into like a pretzel. She was stronger than I thought, but she completely relaxed me. I was like, wow, this was great. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the genesis,
Yeah.
and so then I was like, oh, so then I became a spa nut. I just started going to spa with her. At that time, I was directing, so I had the money. So like
Yeah.
every week, oh, spa. I used to try
Mm-hmm.
to get my wife to go. She didn't. She was not into that. I think I drug her to BlkWmn's one time. She kind of really liked that.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I started to go to the Korean spas, that was kind of more of a recent thing. Was because they're cheaper. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them, like in Los Angeles, they have, I think there's 6 or 7 Korean spas, and they're also really good. They're
Mm-hmm.
well, for the most part, the Korean spas, you go in and you pay one price and you can use the facilities. So it's like, they have the jacuzzi, the saunas, different types of saunas,
Mm-hmm.
uh, all that stuff. And then if you want to get a massage, you have to pay extra for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started going to them because they were cheap. But most of the time, I just wanted to go in and have a bath and shower, get in the jacuzzi, get in the steam room, and that would be enough. I didn't necessarily need to get a massage. It just relaxes me, and it's cheap enough. And then some of them would give you a package so that you could go, you pay one price
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 or 10 times. But yeah, I just fell in love and I just became a spa nut. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's one of the big things I miss during this whole COVID thing is because they're all closed now. And I'm like, no. But I've got a massage chair. My wife bought me a massage chair for Christmas one year, and I still have it here. And and I was thinking like, well, in my next house, I'm gonna make a compound. I'm gonna have a spa, all in my house, because everything's right there.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's great. I tell anybody, I say, I think the spa is something that people should do. It's a good health thing. It's very
Mm-hmm.
therapeutic, and for $25, that's all you spend. $25. That's
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I'm not shy about it. I know you go in and you have to, take your clothes, but it's separated. It's co-ed.
That's why I've never been. I was like in Korea, I'm like, I already have enough reasons for them to stare at me. I'm just gonna not go.
They separate the men and women, so you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't like the attention.
Well, I think like the sauna, they have an area for the saunas. They give you like a shirt and
Mm-hmm.
shorts. So
I'll go to that part.
the best part. And they also have little cafeterias in there too. So they
Oh
little
yeah.
you can eat there too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's Korean food, but it's pretty good. So oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I'll have to tell you an additional story later why I didn't go in Korea, but
nah,
like a friend. And so also you've mentioned several times that you enjoy jazz, and since I know you haven't been to New Orleans, I know you haven't been to New Orleans Jazz Fest, but have you been to any other jazz, like popular jazz festivals or?
There was a jazz festival. Oh man, gosh, I forget what year that was. It was a big one at the Hollywood Bowl that I went to, and I think everybody was there. I mean, everybody who was anybody. Keith Green. Oh gosh, Chick Corea, I think was there. Anybody there? Oh gosh, Gerard Butler, I think, was there.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of folks there.
I know Ron Myrick is a big Hollywood Bowl nut.
Yeah, but that was, I don't remember what year that was, but yeah, that was a good one. I mean, I was also going to a lot of jazz. One of my favorite places was Catalina Bar and Grill, which is in Hollywood, and it's still there. They moved it. It used to be on Cahuenga, but they moved it onto Sunset and Highland. And yeah, they've had a lot of A-listers there. But we had places like the Baked Potato. We had a Knitting Factory. Jazz
These
Bakery.
names.
Yeah, Jazz Bakery, which I think is in Silver. So I love jazz. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff. You know, I got Eddie Harris. I got Miles Davis, of course, and Stan Getz. You name it, I probably got it. I remember Moochie and I went to see Ronnie Thomas. I think it was Ronnie Thomas before he died. That was a real thrill. In fact, I remember Moochie had some albums of his that he got him to sign. And like literally a month later, he had a heart attack. I was like, I said, did we kill him? Not, you know. He was great, man. It was so nice seeing him there. But I'm a big jazz nut. I love jazz. You know, that's good stuff. That's the stuff. The good stuff. Music.
Yeah.
Love it.
I wanted to. You said what?
Well, I was going to say I would love to do an animated thing to a piece of jazz music. I haven't figured out what it's going to be yet, but I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, I will.
You have 3 daughters and one is special needs, and I have a special needs brother. What do you think about? What do you think people should know about people with special needs that they don't really think about?
I think you should give a special needs child a lot of attention and a lot of love. I think you have to do as much as you can to keep them from feeling like the odd person out, you know. Because, you know, I mean, like my daughter, she's a sweetie. I mean, she understands us, but you know, she's pretty high functioning actually. But you know, I mean, she doesn't talk like everybody else, and she makes a lot of noises. I mean, you can't hear her right now, but she's in the other room, and she'll get real loud, you know. But I think you have to, you know, I think that I would say, for me anyway, I like giving my little daughter a little bit more love and attention, just to let her know love, because she can get really noisy and kind of out of hand, you know. And we have to kind of reel her in. Like you know, my other 2 daughters, we were able to raise them pretty much the normal way. But with her, you know, I kind of had to not be quite as much of a disciplinarian with her because she didn't understand it, you know. Right. My wife was smart enough to kind of reel me in on that because I'm very old school. Like, oh, okay, we're gonna, you know, deal with him. And she said, I don't know if that's gonna work with me. And I was like, oh, okay. You know? Was right, you know, so I thought, okay, I better listen to that. But yeah, I think you have to just give them a little bit more time and love. There's a lot I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, because I have all girls, you know, there's things that I can't get involved in. I'm the only guy here. Yeah. So things that I leave to my wife and one of my because I have the 3 daughters I have. My oldest daughter moved out a while back, and she's living in Portland with her fiance's parents. You know, they're getting married soon. And then my middle daughter is also partially a caregiver to our youngest daughter. She and my wife are, you know, more involved with Nina than I am. Maybe because of the, just
Yeah.
that she's going to do that I try not to
Mhm.
get involved in, because it didn't seem right. But other
Mhm.
than that, just, attention and time and, just letting her know she's loved. And that's, I spend a lot of time with her. And I find
Mhm.
that helps her. It helps her to know that she is in the family, everybody, that she's loved. I think that they just need to know because
Yeah.
they get, I can't speak for any other special needs. I mean, I've seen a lot of other special needs kids and I see there are all kinds of different kids.
Mhm.
Mine, I know she's fine. She likes to get involved. She likes things that excite her.
Mhm.
She doesn't like being bored. So we play things for her all day. We play movies for her to keep her excited. She has toys she plays with. I mean, she's 24.
Mhm.
She's 24 with probably like a 12-year-old mind.
Mhm.
And but at the same time, it's like I dance with her and play with her and sing with and I'm kind of the only one that does that. But I do it because I feel like she needs that.
Yeah.
Not asking for it, but
Mhm.
I think it makes her feel good. I think it makes her feel more loved and more like she's important.
Yeah. For me, like with strangers, I like people to know that special needs people have like personalities, or because my brother is very musical.
Mm.
Um, he like back in the day he would talk when he told him to talk, but now he doesn't really talk that much. But he loves gospel music. Like he'll like when we had cassette tapes, he'll wear out a cassette tape. He'll wear out a CD. He wear out whatever the radio like. So and
Yeah,
my mom always said that he never banged on instruments, and I mean he didn't automatically know how to play them, but he never banged on them, and so you know people, special needs people have personalities and
yeah, they
are
do.
cool people. I love my brother.
Of course, that's family. And even though
Mhm.
they have that, I mean, I believe God will. I believe my faith, our faith, is working towards seeing her and reach a different level
Mhm.
out of what she's in. So, I mean, from the time that she was very small, you don't notice it as much when you're really little. But then the doctors pick up on it at some point and they realize, oh, she's got this problem, and
Mhm.
I would just embrace her. I was like, hey, it's okay, you know, we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. It's family.
So if you had a documentary about your life, what would be in it besides your animation career?
Well, I would say my relationship to God, my
Mhm.
relationship to the Lord, because to me that is the most important thing.
Mhm.
I have my talent, my gifts, I have everything because of God. So I mean, I don't know how that. That's how I was raised. My mom and dad
Mhm.
were both very strong, God fearing people, and like I said, I'm one of 5 kids. So we were all raised. We went to church. We were involved in the church. Um, just a big part of my life, and
And one
part
of
of
your sisters is a theologian, huh?
yeah. My middle sister Marcia, she's got her doctorate in theology. She teaches at Syracuse University in New York City,
Mhm.
and she is brilliant. Great gal. Of course I'm going to say that, my sister. Yeah. And then my Vanessa, who is the next one down from me, I call her the family minister. She is just on fire for the Lord, and just she's very involved. She married a wonderful guy who's also a minister too, and so just great, strong family. My
Mhm.
my youngest sister Elizabeth is a librarian at the Library of Congress in West
Mhm.
Virginia. She's
Nice.
yeah, and then my brother Guy is a mechanic, but he also is an artist, and he's a really good one too. And he's married.
Mhm.
He lives in Atlanta with Vanessa. Both our parents have passed on. My dad was 92 when he died. My mom was kind of young. She was 66 or 67.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, God-fearing people, and so that's just a big part of our lives, and I would say it probably factored into my working in the animation business, because I always kind of felt like it would be. I realized that the stories that inspired me were good versus evil stories. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of that was why I wanted to work for Disney, because I felt like that was kind of the thematic thing that Disney was doing, had been doing, and I wanted to be involved in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I got involved in that. So that was
Cool.
good.
Anything else in your documentary?
Let's see. Well, okay, animation and Christianity. Let's see what else. Well, I'd probably talk about my interest in jazz music. I'd probably talk
Mm-hmm.
about my interest in. I'd probably also talk about just my interest in art in general,
Mm-hmm.
beyond animation.
Yeah.
'Cause I draw a lot. Um, Probably talk about my teaching experience, some of the things that but I try to think about things that would be fun. Let's see. I probably talk about fun stuff, to be honest. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't want somebody to go to sleep on my documentary, so I probably talk about riding roller coasters. And I probably like, well, let's shoot some roller coaster stuff. Yeah, that's I probably start with that and end with that.
Do you got a really funny story from your life that you always tell?
Funny story. Well, yeah, there's a couple. I was trying to think of what. Let's see. Let me think. Funny stories. I'm sure somebody has funny stories that they could tell about me that I don't know or I'm not aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. If you can't think of one, it's okay.
yeah, right off the bat, I can't think of one. I'm sure. Yeah, it'll come to me after.
Yeah, they always do.
Blank out. Boom. Yeah, but yeah, I would want to have something. I wouldn't want it to be boring.
Hmm.
So I don't. I guess.
So would you have animated elements in your documentary?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I've always been known for drawing girls. That's something
Hmm.
that's been. Everybody says, and I've even been hired on some jobs because I can draw girls pretty well.
Hmm.
So I have a feeling that would factor in there somewhere.
Hmm.
Now I'm sure you're aware. You've probably seen some of my drawings.
Yep.
Yep. Oopsie. So
On
you know.
your on the gram.
A lot of girls. Yeah, everybody. In fact, like on Rover Dangerfield, for instance, I was hired because I can animate girls pretty well.
Mm.
And in fact, I was put on one of the main characters, the female character, for that reason. So, yeah.
So what's your website and where can people follow you on social media?
Let's see. My website is RobinsonAnimation.com.
Hmm.
It's a website, and let's see. It's got all the. Let's see. It's okay. It's it's Robinson'sAnimation.com, which is
Hmm.
one. I have two sites. Robinson'sAnimation.com, and then the other one I believe is Lenord.Robinson. Wait a minute. Lenord Robinson.
It's LenordRobinson.wixsite.com
That's it. That's it.
/ Robinson Animation.
That's the one.
And the first one is Robinson with no S, like Robinson Animation.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, the Wixsite one is my most current one,
Hmm.
but the Robinson Animation is an older one, but it's still got a lot of stuff on it.
And
And
what's
then
your social media?
I've got a YouTube channel. You just type my name, Lenord Robinson, it should pop up. And then my Instagram, I believe, is Big Daddy Love. And yeah, I think it's just those two. Yeah.
Hmm.
I haven't done a Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but I don't use it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Because I haven't used it. And then I think I had a Vimeo account, but I don't use that either. So I had a Patreon, but I haven't done anything with it. I am all that stuff. I'm just not very savvy about it. I'm still learning how to use it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all new to me. I'm an old bird. Learning to
With wisdom.
with wisdom. Is that it? Okay.
Yes. So I would like to, yeah, I would like to thank you for coming on the BlkWmnAnimator YouTube channel. And to everyone out there, I would like you to like so I know it's real, comment and tell me how you feel, subscribe to Seal the Deal, and sign up for post notifications to show your zeal. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Hey now.